Okay.
Overall, I kind of really like Suicide Squad. Not Suicide Squad. Oh, good
Or Squadron
grief.
Supreme.
It's not Black Panther. It's not Suicide Squad. It's Squadron Supreme and Black Hammer.
No, it was great. And just to be, I think her
Oh,
name is
yeah.
Power Princess.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Power
Woman.
Woman is... Sorry. I'm doing it today. I'm telling you. I'm not going to get anything right this entire
okay.
podcast. And Charles. Talk comics.
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. Having Charles Talk Comics, episode 2. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Hob. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited that we did this. I was actually singing a little song in the shower this morning in anticipation of our talking comics this evening. I was like, oh, it's podcast day. It's podcast day. It's embarrassing. And I told people at work that I was going to do our second podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm all aflutter about this. So last time on Hob and Charles Talk Comics, we discussed Volume 1 of Black Hammer that we both very much enjoyed. And you pointed out to me after we had edited the entire thing and listened to it that maybe, just maybe, we should spend some time and talk about, I don't know, the plot of the comic books that we read instead of just diving in and talking about random parts of it. So we talked about Black Panther. Oh, there I did it again. Black Panther, Black Hammer, and then the Under Siege arc of Avengers. This week,
Correct.
You want to tell everybody what we're talking about?
We are going to discuss Black Hammer Volume 2, The Event is what this one is, this collection is called, and the limited series from the mid-'80s from Marvel, Squadron Supreme, 12-issue limited series. And it just like we talked about last time, the whole thing is I suggest something for you to read. You suggested last time Black Hammer Volume 1. This time was Black Hammer Volume 2 for me. Last time I suggested you read Avengers Under Siege, that arc, and this time it was my suggestion you read Squadron Supreme.
That is correct. And actually, Squadron Supreme, we were supposed to both have read originally. We were going to do a test podcast, and then we were like, nah, forget this. We're not doing a test podcast. We're men. We don't practice. And we did the first one.
That's absolutely true. That is correct.
So which do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about that. Like in order of release, it would be chronologically to go with Squadron Supreme.
Okay.
But I'm fine either way.
Got it. Hob goes both ways.
Well, sure. In certain circumstances. Absolutely. So, yeah, no, or we could go with Black Hammer. I unless you have a strong feeling one or the other.
I really do not.
Which one did you read first?
I can talk about either one. Let's start with Squadron Supreme. Why don't you break down what Squadron Supreme is?
Yeah, so there's a lot there to unpack. Squadron Supreme, Marvel limited series that we read was preceded by appearances by said Squadron Supreme, mostly in issues of Avengers back in the day. And I really didn't look up how far back, to be honest with you, Charles. Maybe you did.
No, I did not. That was on my list of things to check that, quite frankly, I never got to.
That's okay. So they had made appearances. They're from an alternate Earth in the multiverse, if you will.
Wait, you're saying that there's a multiverse?
I am saying that. Absolutely.
I hope they go deeper in that in Marvel Comics at some point.
Right? It'd be weird if they didn't. Yeah, they first appeared so Squadron Supreme first appeared in Avengers number 85 in 1971, created by writer Roy Thomas and artist John Buscema. I've never heard his name said out loud. And it is very much a nod, tip of the hat to the distinguished competition that oftentimes Marvel creators the moniker they would use to talk about DC Comics. Because it is just pretty much a roster of analogs for Justice League members. So you hop in whenever you want, but I can just start going down the big roster of the squad.
Oh yeah, it's just a dead-on ripoff. I'm sorry, homage.
And purposely so.
It's an homage.
Purposely so.
Yeah.
Hyperion is Superman. Amphibian is Aquaman. Whizzer is the Flash. Dr. Spectrum is Green Lantern. Power Princess is Wonder Woman. Nuke is, I think, Firestorm. Captain Hawk is Hawkman. Mm-hmm. Golden Archer is Green Arrow. Lark, Black Canary. Tom Thumb, although not powered, is a super scientist, so I think he's the Atom.
Oh, okay. See, I had nothing on him, and I did not research that. You're probably right.
And I didn't. I just, quite frankly, Charles, I wrote down the names of the characters because there are so many in Squadron Supreme. That is the only prep work I did. I was like, gosh, there's a lot of these.
Well,
Let
you
me
know,
try to at
I
least make
appreciate
some
that you
notes.
did that prep work because as we discussed yesterday, I read this before we did the last podcast, and I have not picked it up since then.
And just to round out the roster, you have Arcana, who is, I believe, supposed to be Zantana.
Yes.
And then, of course, last but certainly not least, Nighthawk, the analog for the Batman. So yeah, and it's in their alternate universe. And the premise of the 12-issue miniseries that began in 1985, and if I read my thing right on the interior of the collection, I read September of '85. The premise of the whole thing is they decide to try to make a utopia on Earth, especially in the United States. In particular. And they essentially just take control and say, our way or the highway. All of them except for Nighthawk.
Yeah. Who immediately leaves because he doesn't want to control people. Very Batman thing to do.
Sure. Absolutely. And then hijinks ensue. Surprise,
That's
surprise.
true. That's true. Hijinks do ensue. Go a little deeper. The reason they decided to do that is because the Nighthawk character, his alter ego, whose name I forget, so we'll just say
Kyle
not
Richmond.
Bruce Wayne.
Kyle Richmond.
Kyle Richmond had become president of the United States, and then a supervillain had taken control of his mind and the minds of many other people and enslaved the world. So this is kind of a reaction to someone basically doing what they set out to do, but for evil purposes.
Right, and they're going to do it for all the best reasons and with the best intentions. Even though you're right, I was of course going to want to talk about that at some point. They're doing exactly what they just got done doing, and this is all done like in the first I swear 3 pages. It's in the first half of the first comic book, if not the first few pages. Where
they get right to it. They're like, yeah, we got to take over the world. World bad, we good.
Yeah, and the bad guy that took over the world that they encapsulize in 2 pages, Overmind, coincidentally, controls the mind of, like you said, President Richmond, alter ego Nighthawk. And I was thinking there's a whole story just there that they could have done and I don't know that they have a whole prequel, if you will, to how they got to the Squadron Supreme 12-issue miniseries, because that sounded like a pretty awesome story, because apparently this Overmind was so mentally powerful it took control of all the Squadron Supreme members, the squad, and except for Hyperion, who eventually I think kind of saved the day, if I kind of remember that part. And then that's where we start this story.
Yeah, it is such a great, amazing story that the Justice League actually did it, and that was one of the things I was going to look up, is when the Justice League did that, because there was an arc in the Justice League where a mind controller took over Superman and caused him to run wild, and he intimated that no matter what they did, he would never not do that again, so Wonder Woman killed him.
I did not know that. I know that there's been, obviously, evil Supermen in DC, and a lot here recently, apparently.
Yeah. After she did that, the Justice League kind of got together and they made a decision to hide that fact and brainwash some of the people in the Justice League because they voted and some of them didn't agree on it. One of the people that they wiped the memory of was Batman.
And I think you're talking about Identity Crisis. I think.
Was that Identity Crisis?
I think it was, because
am I smashing up Identity Crisis and something else, which is a distinct possibility? Because Identity...
It might be, but Identity... Go ahead.
No, that's right. That was... Maybe I'm putting 2 things together, because that was a part of Identity Crisis, yes. That they were brainwashing villains to not remember the secret identities of superheroes.
Right, there was that, and Identity Crisis, and it's fine. We're kind of going down a little rabbit trail, but it's good because that's what was at issue here with brainwashing and the brain modification machine.
Yes.
Identity Crisis, the little I remember of it, which I did read, most of, if not all of it, the Dr. Light had raped Sue Dibney Elongated Man's wife. And the Justice Leaguers found out, and it was a small faction of them, like Green Arrow, Black Canary, somebody else, and Zatanna included. And she used her magic to wipe his memory and then also make him a kind of an idiot and a bumble, like a just an inept criminal from that point forward. And then apparently Batman walks in while they're doing that or erasing other memories, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no good. We're not.
I
We
did
don't
just
do
conflate
this."
two different things. So
And so they do that to Batman, and of course, at some point, I think Batman finds out. And don't make Batman angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. But yeah, I thought of Identity Crisis. And I don't know. I don't know exactly the other one you're talking about with the evil Superman, but I know they have done that.
well, it wasn't evil Superman. It was mind controlled Superman.
I'm sorry, mind control Superman.
Yeah, it was he took control of Superman's mind and caused horrible havoc, and then Wonder Woman killed him. And oh man, I apologize. I am understanding that I totally flubbed that and mashed two of them together. I believe this is why I should have done research, but I had completely forgotten about that part earlier. So let's just say it was mind-controlled Superman, Wonder Woman killed somebody, Batman didn't like it, a lot of the Justice League didn't like it, and there was fractures among it. And maybe I'll bring this back at some point if I can do the research for another episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Overall, I kind of really liked Suicide Squad. Not Suicide Squad.
Supreme.
Oh, good grief. It's not Black Panther, it's not Suicide Squad, it's Squadron Supreme. And Black
They
Hammer.
do have S's in their names, double S's.
Yeah.
So I can see the confusion.
Yes, but let's not abbreviate that.
Oh, yeah, no. And then the other thing that I thought of when I was reading this was Civil War, the comic book, the original Civil War. Although
Yes.
I know not an analog to DC. This is obviously that was a Marvel series, limited series with things happening all over in different books when that debuted way back. Oh God, I didn't look this up. Early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Not even that long ago.
Yeah,
Early 2000s?
it's been a pretty long time.
So that the two leaders of Squadron Supreme are having a difference of opinion, and they part ways. Hyperion and Nighthawk, and of course in Civil War it was Iron Man and Cap. I thought of that too, just as kind of like, looky there. And then of course there's some other stuff. I know there's been alternate dimension DC Justice Leagues where they're evil and bad and all that, the crime syndicate and all that stuff. Marvel's take on this, albeit though back in 1985.
Yeah, Civil War was 2006.
Okay.
I just looked it up since I can't seem to get anything right. I decided I would fact check something. There was a lot in that I appreciated. Now, again, there was some dated. It was clearly 1985 when they wrote it, but there was a lot of interesting things going on, and their takes on some of the heroes were a lot of fun. Was one of the things I liked about Power Woman was her paramour aged correctly. So if she met him in World War II, and this was 1985, he was very old, and she was still hot and Wonder Woman-y.
Right.
And she is just dead on in a lot of ways, Wonder Woman. There are a number of shots where her outfit is not a direct copy, but some of the time in the comic books when she's an action shot, and you know how they just kind of don't fill in all the details of a costume when they're doing an action shot from a distance or a pose, that's when it would be okay, that's clearly Wonder Woman. And it was really cool. I liked it.
No, it was great. And just to be, I think her name is Power Princess.
Oh, yeah.
Power Woman.
Oh, yeah. Power Woman is, sorry. I'm doing it today. I'm telling you. I'm not going to get anything right this entire podcast.
That's why, that's part of the reason I'm here. And you know what?
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, you mentioned World War II. I was wondering, World War I or World War II? Are we sure? I guess 85. Yeah, he would have been elderly. Never mind. Don't listen to me. He would have been really old.
Well, not really old in
mind.
85. It could be World War I. Depends on how old he was in World War II, or if they even met in World War II. I'm just basing that off of Wonder Woman's backstory. We didn't get that much of her backstory because they weren't exactly the same. She did come from a utopian society, and she is kind of the ambassador of that society, except didn't they fly off into space because the Earth was such a shithole country?
Yeah, and there was a little, they give a lot of just information in this comic book generally. Like they would pack pages with a lot of words, which was I was fine with. But one of the things that they did do, I think she comes from I think an island called Utopia, and of course the project was Project Utopia when they're trying to impose their will on the world. And they mentioned that her people have been genetically altered way back when by the Kree. I don't know if you remember that part of it.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. I had forgotten until you mentioned it.
And then the parallel to that is Dr. Spectrum, when he got his powers from an alien and he got the power prism or some such.
Yeah.
That was kind of the analog for the Green Lantern ring. That was given to him by a Krull, I believe. So they intertwined that.
So yeah, so we still had the Kree and the Skrulls.
Right.
Okay.
In this alternate, part of the multiverse. So, but yeah, I did. Going back to your original thought, I thought it was very sweet and nice, and she still loved him. And then, of course, the imposter Hyperion, we find out, kills him because the fake Hyperion that was apparently a duplicate copy of the real Hyperion is, persuaded to come over by Master Menace. Maybe?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I swear I know he's supposed to be an analog to a DC character, but he's Doctor Doom.
That's exactly what I thought. I don't even know. I was wondering if they were trying to do analogs for all the bad guys because I couldn't think of one, and I really didn't Google to figure it out. I just thought that's Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
because he's the smartest guy. Wears a metal mask, all that stuff. Then of course that's towards the end of the story. But yeah, there's Power Princess loses Howard because the fake Hyperion does that, and then the real Hyperion and the fake one get into it, and then of course Power Princess and the real Hyperion fall in love. And to take it back out to like a 1,000-foot view, the whole thing about getting rid of all the guns, these people controlling everything from high on a hill, manipulating or controlling everybody's lives, and then the brain modification. A lot of, I'm going to say, heady stuff that's kind of like well beyond what I think had been done before, but I don't know. It just seemed to me like there was a lot they got in there.
They really did. I want to talk about the brain modification stuff because there were some good arcs going on with that. In particular, whatever his name is, the Green Arrow analog, deciding he wanted
Golden Archer.
The Archer?
Golden Archer.
Golden Archer. Okay, well, had to have a color. He decided that it was time for he and their version of Black Canary to get married, and she wanted to break up with him, so he manipulated her brain, and that backfired spectacularly.
Yes. Yes.
It was wonderful to see him get his comeuppance due to his mind rape. I felt bad for her, though, obviously, because I'm not a monster.
And I don't think they ever fixed that.
See, I don't think they did either. And spoiler alert, and you know what? It's a 1985 comic, so, and we said we were going to talk about it, so all spoilers. God, my brain's not working today. Yeah,
no,
I do think they did not fix it. Had she disappeared or something, or she didn't want to be fixed? She wanted to love him? I can't remember exactly how that ended.
She still loved him. He gets booted out because the Squadron Supreme, the squad finds out what he did, and they were like, whoa, wait a second, we're only doing this to criminals, and you did it to one of our members, so guess what? You're out of here. And so then he joins up with Nighthawk, who has formed his own team to combat and make the Squadron Supreme disband and surrender.
Yeah.
At the end. And then she's seen at the very end lurking about, I think her name is Lark or Lady Lark, trying to find him. And he sees her and he's like, oh no. And he feels terribly at the end, of course, because of what he's done. And I think he dies at the end. A lot of people die in this, Charles.
Yeah. I don't remember how many people died.
I want to say he died. Well, I don't want to. Well, we can cut to that, sure.
You went right to the death, man. And in fairness, there's not a lot of death in comic books, but I guess they kind of felt like since they were playing in their own little world that's kind of a one-shot that they drag in on occasion, they could kill off whoever they wanted.
Yeah, I bet you Jim Shooter, who was editor-in-chief at the time, and the powers that be were like, yeah, go for it. Whatever you want to do. These are DC knockoffs. Kill Green Arrow. Kill him good.
I mean, they blinded Hyperion. And he killed his doppelganger from the microverse. It was kind of for a utopian attempt at utopia. I will say, based on a lot of people trying to force utopia on other people, there was a lot less death than could have been.
Hey, my bars aren't going up on my thing anymore. Are yours?
Yeah. Do you think you're not connected anymore? It's showing that you're talking.
It's showing that I'm talking? That's
Yeah.
weird. Okay, well, as long as yours shows it showing I'm going, I just noticed that it is not moving at all. And now it is. That's weird. Okay, I'm sorry. So we were talking about the death. So I just flipped to like the last page of this darn thing. So before the ultimate battle between Squadron Supreme, and I think they called them the American Redeemers at the end, I think is what Nighthawk called his crew. That was a collection of bad guys and people that he got. Master Menace, I think was his name, or whatever his name was, to develop a machine to undo the brain modification. So he got some of the ones that they converted, got them to infiltrate the squad. You lost before that. Nuke had died early on in the series because he went crazy, sad, insane when he found out that his pretty much was sure his powers had killed his parents because of radiation. Gets into a scrape with Dr. Spectrum, and Dr. Spectrum envelops him in this bubble thing like Green Lantern would do, but except he doesn't put any way for him to breathe and apparently suffocates him to death. Dr. Decibel died, was a bad guy, when he was caring for Quagmire. Not the character from Family Guy, but this guy that would ooze stuff from another dimension. And I didn't know who the analog for Dr. Decibel was either, by the way.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Was
So I'm looking at the last one of the last pages, and they're talking about 7 people. Nighthawk dead on arrival, heart failure. Foxfire died in surgery an hour ago, massive internal bleeding. Blue Eagle dead on arrival, broken neck. Pinball dead on arrival, broken spine. Black Archer died in surgery a half hour ago, massive trauma to the head. Then Thermite still in critical condition, 10% chance of recovery. And Lamprey,
yeah.
Lamprey dead on arrival, all of body not yet recovered.
Yeah, because he just kind of exploded at the end.
Yeah.
There's just it got nasty there at the end, and I don't know enough about the Squadron Supreme to know if like all comic book characters they've all come back at some point or not, or if these were dead. So it'd be interesting because now I'm kind of interested to read more about this group maybe in the future.
Yeah, and of course we're always going to have the cop out because there are multiple versions of Hyperion and multiple versions of that, because any kind of multiverse type thing, there's going to be multiple versions of them throughout the multiverse, so they can bring any of them back at any time. Just with that easy, what's the word I'm looking? Oh yeah, cop out.
Yeah, and well, there's an alternate version of Nighthawk in the Marvel 616.
Yes,
I think is what it's numbered, and
Yeah.
in fact that weird issue included in my little collection of Captain America, an issue of Captain America where he goes over and tries to recruit the Avengers and Fantastic Four. A couple of them. Cap even mentions, "Hey, you look familiar, stranger."
yeah, because he
So-
existed. Didn't he die? Didn't he mention that he's dead in that?
Right, I think he had already died in that universe, in the Captain America Avengers universe.
I liked that Captain America originally told them, no, that's your universe. Although I thought it kind of went against Cap, but his whole point was we can't control people and they can make their decisions on how they want to be controlled, on who they want to govern them. Except the fact was that they weren't trying to do that. They were going ahead, and it really didn't bring that much to the story other than when Nighthawk went over there, he found the villains that wanted to come back that were willing to come back with him to fight against the bad guys. So
Yeah, that's true. He did recruit those few.
I did like the whole.
And I don't remember.
You don't remember their names? Me neither. There was a lot going on in this comic arc, because I mean it lasted what, 6 months or a year? I can't remember. Was it going to be 6 months or a year that they said at the end of this we'll step down because everything will be over with?
Right, it was a year. And they did relinquish control back to the civilian government, to the Congress and the president and all that.
Well, yeah, they did that after they realized that what they were doing was horribly wrong, and lots of their own people had died.
I think they had just done that before Nighthawk confronts them. I think they had just done it right before Charles. I think.
Oh, okay. You may be right. I mean, you've been right
So it was
every
kind of
time
odd.
we've
It was
disagreed
like-
in any way today.
For once.
I wouldn't say that.
I feel bad that I don't remember the ones that went over in the Captain America issue that Nighthawk recruited back. I just don't have their names.
That's
And
okay.
I'm blanking.
They're not
one
real,
that had
so
the
it doesn't
carpet,
matter that you forgot them.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to run into them, when we all get together again.
Oh man, there was just a big fight in this last episode. I'm thumbing through it here on Marvel Unlimited. It's been a very interesting thing. I did like some of the response some of the people had in the comics that protesting we're done again. Hello, welcome back to Hav and Charles Talk Comics. This is day 2 of our second episode. We'd like to apologize for technical difficulties that you'll only hear when we say, oh crap, we crapped out. But it's been almost 24 hours since Hav and I recorded this, and we were talking about Suicide Squad. Nope. Wow. Evidently my
You are fixated on Suicide Squad.
I am totally fixated on Suicide Squad. I guess I'm excited about the new Suicide Squad because it looks like it's actually going to be good.
Because the great James Gunn
That is
is in
correct.
charge.
Yes. So that
I
would
told
be.
anybody that would Go ahead, sorry.
You told anybody that would listen. Finish.
I told anybody that would listen, when I found out that he was doing a Marvel property, and of all properties, it was going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. And when I found out a little more about the lineup, and it sounded like the Abnett, Lanning, mid to late 2000s lineup, I said, if Marvel pulls this off, and I think they will because James Gunn's doing it, they're going to be untouchable. I swear to God. I told full disclosure to the 3 people listening, I did some improv around the time that I found out about that.
Yes,
and I told this one guy, and he looked, we were having a beer at the bar at the improv place, and he was talking about all these comic book movies, and I told him about, hey, I'm a big comic book guy, bragging like I do about that. And I told him, look, hey, have you heard about Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn? He knew Slither. It was didn't do well commercially, but I think is a great horror movie with Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, amongst others. And the guy that plays Yondu was in it. He's kind of his Whoopi. James Gunn's Whoopi. And I said, look, if he pulls this off, Marvel can do anything. And sure enough, in my humble estimation, it was good.
You think Guardians of the Galaxy was good? Okay, strong opinion.
I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Strong opinion.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. My personal opinion, I give it a thumbs up.
Okay. No. I'm gonna have to say, it pains me, but I agree with you. I remember back
But the
when
reason
that.
we went
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I remember
No,
back
you
when
go.
they were talking about doing it. You got all excited and you gave me your giant hardcover edition of the Annihilation Wave.
Yeah.
And said, read this. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. And I read it. And I was like, I don't get why they're making this into a movie. This doesn't seem kind of with what Marvel's doing. And then that thing came out. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, that's because they ignored all of that crap.
It wasn't quite the same thing.
There was some beautiful things in it. I was so glad I had actually read that you'd given it to me, because I saw some Easter eggs in there, because they definitely drew from that. And we are way off track of what we were going to talk about.
And the whole reason we are is because
Suicide
Suicide
Squad.
Squad has the same first letters as Squadron Supreme.
Yes. And Charles's brain is mush. So, Squadron Supreme. I should put a Post-it note up on my computer screen up in front of me. And just Squadron. We're talking about Squadron Supreme and Black Hammer, not Black Panther.
Right, you did that last time too. And you called Power Princess Power Woman?
Yeah, Power Woman. Conflating a completely different DC character. Oh, yesterday was fun. So,
When last
overall,
we left our heroes, we were talking about... We had talked a bit about Squadron.
yeah, we talked
The
about it.
Squad.
Yeah, I think we got about at least 30 good minutes and, well, at least 5 good minutes and 30 plus minutes of action. Overall, I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed it because they didn't make them evil. They made them trying really hard to fix the world, even though it was glaringly obvious that everything they were doing was kind of bad. I mean, forcing brain changes on people without their permission. That's bad.
Well, they gave the criminals a choice, right? Hey,
Sure.
you want to get out of here?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know how much of a choice that is. Hey,
Yeah.
do you want to spend the next 20 to 30 years in prison? Or do you want to let us put this little brain modification machine on your head?
I'm not even sure if there were a way to modify people's brains. The problem was with their brain modification. Nope. The problem was with modifying people's brains at all. My point on this is that the way they tried to change it was kind of forcing them into this narrow thing, like when they did it to the villains. Why, they've said we can never betray the Squadron Supreme. Oh, wait. That means if the original members of the Squadron Supreme turn evil, you have to still obey them.
Or that their original mission, the Utopian Project, or I think it was what it's called, was evil.
Yeah. Anytime you're trying to force wholesale changes on people, it's borderline evil.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say borderline. It's a bad idea genes.
Yes.
And no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go on, please.
There were a lot. I think we talked about this a little bit before we had our technical difficulties. A lot of heady political stuff going on in this, right? I mean, they literally take over the United States.
Yes, they do.
And so when I hear on the Twitter or people say, politics in my comic books, I remember the good old days. Tap the brakes there. The Squadron Supreme came out in '85 in the middle of Reagan.
Yeah.
So guess what? And going back before that, you can go all the way back to Superman, beating up hoodlums and people, racketeering with, bad, corrupt political officials, blah, blah, blah. So okay, and I'm done with my soapbox now.
No, well, I mean, hey, you've been watching Hawk and Bunny on Marvel Plus or on Disney Plus, right? Sorry.
Did you call it Hawk and Bunny?
I called it Hawk and Bunny again. Sorry. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Don't you remember I called it Hawk and Bunny about a week or two ago? Because
you did. Hey, just so you know, are you still registering on your computer? Because I don't have a bar for you or me now.
No, it appears to be recording, yeah.
Okay, good. No, never mind. That's weird. Okay. I think
All right.
that'll be clean. No, I have not seen the latest.
Okay.
I think I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind on.
Okay. But even
Falcon
for
Winter
Disney, even on Disney, that's very political, and I love it. Okay, that's my plug for Hawk and Bunny. Sorry. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Or Hawk and Bunny. I like Hawk and Bunny.
No,
For some reason, Winter Soldier being Bunny makes me because I'm guessing Hawk is the Falcon.
Well, clearly.
And Bunny being Winter Soldier.
Yes. I told you before, it's because he's cute, like a bunny.
Any other thought? I mean, I think we've kind of done a lot about this. I got a couple other things I jotted down. Unless you have any other things you want to hit on before we go on to Black Hammer.
No, let's talk about Black Hammer.
Well, real fast before we
Okay.
do, let me just get in these bullet points that didn't come up organically that I'm gonna ram in.
Oh, ram it home, buddy. Ram it home.
Just gonna trying to just get into the party when it's at full capacity, and I don't care. I wanna enjoy it.
Chase the night.
I think a couple things to note. Squadron Supreme came out, I think, in September of '85, before Black Knight Returns and Watchmen in '86. And I mention that for a reason, because both of those are now considered seminal works in deconstructing superheroes and lauded, and nobody talks about Squadron Supreme, as far as I know. You?
I did a quick Google search this evening before we met back up to do this or connected again. There really wasn't that much of people breaking it down. So you are correct.
Another tidbit: the reason I knew of this back when I was a kid, I don't know if you had these available in San Antonio where I grew up. The Winds at one point was a 5 and dime. It was a discount kind of store, akin to now, kind of like a Target or a Marshalls, but not a big chain. If they had a few locations in San Antonio, but they would have these value packs of comics. Mm-hmm. That would either be 3 to 5, and you could see, of course, the outside comics, but you couldn't see the interior ones. And one of those had some of those that I got, because it would be like $1 for 5 comic books or $2 for 5 comic books. So of course, yeah. And you would get ROM or Defenders and maybe an X-Men comic in there. But inside in the middle, I got 3 or 4 of these, and I remember being fascinated by it, and I didn't pick up the rest or find out or read about the rest or read all the complete 12-issue series until years later. But it always fascinated me. So that's another tidbit.
Okay. That's actually was my
Did you ever have
gateway into
those?
comics was a value pack from Toys R Us. May it rest in peace.
That was another place where they had the value packs. You're right.
It
Toys
had
R Us.
and it had Secret Wars in it.
Ooh,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll read that.
I'm gonna go to the limb and say that doesn't hold up.
Oh, it does not. Well, considering as a kid, I thought it was fairly bad.
Wow.
Was that shots fired?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I did when I was going down the arc of thumbing through Squadron Supreme on Marvel Unlimited. I did come across Secret Wars 2, which came out when I was actually buying comic books individually, and I read some because there's the Beyonder was going through Spider-Man a few times, and that's when the Godlike Man had a perm. And I never did read the whole thing. I didn't read the actual Secret Wars 2 part of it. I read some of the comics that he was in just within the Marvel Universe. So I've got that on my list to kind of read just out of the curiosity to see what else they did with it.
That's when the era of the big event started.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s, because something I will probably ask you to read at some point, maybe next, is Mutant Massacre. It was Mutant Massacre, then it was Fall of the Mutants, then it was Inferno for the X-Men and X-Men related comic books, and then they just went crazy after that, in my opinion.
Well, if you're ready to say, because next time we're doing, and I don't think we've plugged it yet. Next time, no, I think we did. Stumptown, we plugged that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm reading. No, we didn't. So you're going to read Stumptown. I think we plugged it in the first episode. And then I'm reading help me out here. It's a Justice League.
Justice League, just called Justice League, the reboot after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
Speaking of 12-issue series.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get to Black Hammer. Then I did make the note, so I want to put it out there. One thing I thought was nice in Squadron Supreme was at the very end of the series when they're relinquishing control back to the civilian government, the White House, the president. It's President Gardner and Vice President Sheldon they mention. And I can't help but think that was done on purpose by Mark Gruenwald. Is that how we're saying his name? Gruenwald, the writer. Fox Gardner was a longtime DC writer, contributor that is credited with being part of creating umpteen characters. He was, this is how old he was. He was one of the creators of the Justice Society of America. I did Google this. I sound like I know all this off the top of my head. Apparently related to helping create Hawkman, Flash, Dr. Fate, Zatanna, Sandman.
Oh, wow.
The Justice Society of America. Then when, the Golden Age turned into the Silver Age, Justice League of America, and then I think in some measure, if not in large measure, he can be credited with the multiverse idea because he, I think, wrote or was in charge of Flash of Two Worlds in 1961, where you had the Golden Age Flash meet the Silver Age Flash. And then Sheldon Meyer, who they say is the Vice President Sheldon Meyer helped create The Flash, Hawkman, was part of All-Star Comics and the JSA.
Wow.
Which Mark Gruenwald, I think, was probably way more into the history of comics than I am, and I can't help but think he did that as a tip of the hat.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I do want to kind of go back because you came up with something that you wanted to say. I wanted to point out how irritated I often am, and even in this, with the depiction of the Superman type hero that doesn't get the core of the original Superman. Because they did a pretty good job with a lot of the other characters getting the core, but Hyperion's still kind of just a prick.
Oh, yeah.
And Superman's not. And it's one of my pet peeves where, as we know, when I read, Spider-Man's my guy, and when I read Spider-Man written by somebody that doesn't write Spider-Man, they make him an obnoxious little asshole. And I'm like, that's not really who he is. It's nervous jokes. and he's awesome, and you're fucking him over. And they kind of do that in the same way sometimes in these group books. They're like, well, he's a big, strong guy. He has to be. No, he legitimately is a Boy Scout in all the positives that being a Boy Scout can mean, with none of the negatives.
Right.
And if you don't get that, you miss the core of who Superman is. That's just one of my pet peeves of any time they do a Superman character. I get it when you take him and make him the Homelander, and I get it when you make him something to make him different, but Hyperion is he's just Superman.
Well, hey, speaking of that, you made me remember in this 12-issue limited series at the very end, when he gets blinded and he's flying with Power Princess, she mentions that when they did the testing on him, I guess some kind of genetic testing, they figured out that he is actually 100% human.
Yeah.
Just a perfect human, which made me immediately think of Red Sun and the tail end of that, because I've only read that once really all the way through.
Really?
Where it turns out that some kind of weird, loop where humanity advances, blah, 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 and then back in time, if memory serves.
Yes, you're correct. He's sent back in time where he could be a god.
Right. So speaking of, they made him a Superman, like with a hyphen in a bad way almost, I think, in my mind. I immediately went there because that's how I work. And then one last thing, just because I had it listed here, Charles, they stole the plans for the behavior modification machine, the B-mod machine, so that Master Menace could then make a machine to deprogram everybody that had been brainwashed. They used that using something called a modem in 1985.
Well, they had modems in 1985, dude.
I didn't have cable TV in 1985.
I understand that you didn't, but you got to remember, what year did War Games come out?
83, 82.
There you go. No, so modems were definitely in the zeitgeist.
Not well. I'd heard of them. I didn't have one.
Well,
I didn't really know how it worked.
Yeah, most people didn't have one. But remember, in War Games, oh my lord, I can't believe I'm bringing up War Games. Matthew Broderick's character used a modem to hack into the Whopper.
Right, and it's a great movie. And I knew of modems. I just like that they were kind of hip to the times technologically.
Yeah, and in fairness, in 85, you and I were but wee lads. So
true. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, when last we spoke about Black Hammer, we talked about the first, 6 or 7 issues?
Correct.
And what we learned then, and as we mentioned before, we did not bother to tell anybody about the arc. We just started talking about individual portions. A group of superheroes was trapped in a small town that they could not leave. And we slowly learned about most of them, backgrounds, etc., as we went on. And then it ended at the end of the first however many, volume 1. It ended with the daughter of the titular Black Hammer appearing in their town. Did I wrap that up pretty good?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. And to recap for everybody, the reason they were there is because they had stopped the anti-god from destroying the universe and, of course, the Earth. And when Black Hammer dropped the hammer and they were all combating him, all of a sudden they all appeared there, and then Black Hammer decided he wanted to leave, and we find out what happened when Black Hammer tried to leave.
Ooh. What happened, Hav? What happened?
He gets skinned alive, apparently, according to the great art done in it.
Yeah,
and got killed.
It was pretty glaring.
It was pretty graphic.
Well,
no comics code on this one.
We talked about that last week. I read about it, and the writer brought in an artist who does horror comic type things, and he does an incredible job.
So the writer is Jeff, I'm going to probably butcher his name, Lemire, and the artist I think is Dean Ormston, inked by let's see. No, he's the artist, Dean Ormston. Colors by Dave Stewart, letters by Todd Klein. Then art, colors, and letters for one issue by David Rubin. And I'm not doing that by memory. I literally have the book in front of me. Don't worry. I'm not that encyclopedic when it comes to these things. Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, all 3 of you.
I'm having trouble remembering what my own name is, so we're all good.
Cool. So, hey, again, I love Black Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you when we talked before this podcast, I ain't waiting for us to talk about Volume 3. I'm going to have to pour through that probably this weekend.
And I highly recommend it, having read it as well. But what I really liked is it opens, we talked about in the last episode, your reading, your thoughts on who Black Hammer was, because they didn't do his background at all. And this one just opens with Black Hammer's origins.
Correct.
And so,
please feel free to go. And I got a couple thoughts.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to draw it back to, in the last episode, you came up with the analog. I was trying not to. I knew who the analog was. Am I using the right term for that? Anyway.
Yeah.
You came up with Thor, and I said I'd have to think about it. Sure, he's got a hammer. He's Green Lantern, right?
I think they like they have done with a lot of characters in Black Hammer. I think they mashed a lot together.
Okay.
There's Green Lantern because there's a guy that's dying that gives him
his magic hammer,
something of power to wield, and then he says it's calling to him, I believe. But they do, give some kind of nod towards Thor because he smashes the hammer down and turns back into his civilian self, which is very Thor. That's Dr. Blake Edwards. I think that is from memory, I think.
And and even back to the Thor thing, he basically goes to an Asgardian place when they call him up.
Let's go there because they smash up Asgardian. I feel like they smash up a lot of Kirby stuff. They smash up Asgardian with Eternals, with New Gods, all in there because you got the Starlock, which I think is a High Father / Odin / something else analog maybe, versus the Anti-God, which is clearly a dark side analog. And there you get introduced to the Escaper, which escape artist, Mr. Miracle. There's Whiptara. I wrote down her name. I didn't come up with a clear analog with her. I was thinking, because they don't say much about her. You find out later she dies. I don't know if she's supposed to be some kind of big Barda analog or what. And then they also mentioned Light Rider and Warpie is a dog that looks just like Lockjaw from the Eternals. And it's all there laid out. I'm like, that is awesome. I love these guys. I love this comic book.
I do too. One of the other things I loved is we pointed out that he was clearly a Silver Age, or we talked about Black Hammer clearly being a Silver Age type comic hero. And I love the fact that he is a more Black Panther than some of the other black superheroes, 60-ish types. Because instead of a former drug dealer who decided to use his superpowers he found in prison to fight for what is right by hiring out as a superhero, instead he's a social worker who gets powers. So he's already a good dude.
Gotcha, because you know what I was going to say? I thought of Power Man, given that he's living in a bad part of town, helping out, trying to do right by the community. But you're right, Power Man was kind of a hero for. They had a comic book called Heroes for Hire. A hero for hire. I thought of Power Man. I didn't think of Black Panther, but I did like.
The only reason I combine him with Black Panther is because he doesn't have that, quote, criminal background. And Black Panther obviously doesn't either. Even Hawk also in the comics had a criminal background. It was a very nice, thoughtful update from the MCU that they were like, no, he's a veteran. We're going to make him a veteran. We're not going to get into that weird, sure, we have a black superhero, but they've got this questionable past. So, which I will say though, it makes it interesting going back to Falcon when he becomes Captain America, however many years ago that was, fairly recently, that did come up, his past.
I did not read, I was not reading monthlies at the time. So I did read about that.
Yeah.
And I know that Bucky took over for a while too, right?
Yeah, Bucky took over originally when Captain America was killed. Falcon took over when Captain America was de-aged by losing the I don't know, it's comics. I can't remember exactly why. All of a sudden, not de-aged, he lost the super soldier serum and became his actual age.
Say that fast 3 times.
Yeah, I couldn't even say it once slowly. So that's when That's when Sam took over. And that was, of course, leading into, something I may make you read.
Is it the Hydra stuff?
It was.
I was that piqued my interest. I was like, okay, because that was something different, right?
It was different and it was good.
That did pique my interest.
Yeah, it was different and it was good. I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed people going, well, Captain America can't be. It's like, give them a chance. It's just like people when they came out that Dr. Octopus was going to take over Spider-Man, and everybody was like, oh my God, that's going to be the worst thing that ever happened. And they're saying it's permanent. Well, of course they're saying it's permanent. You don't go into it saying, hey, it's always going to be, Dr. Octopus is always going to be Spider-Man from now on.
And everybody loses their mind. They make Thor a woman. Make, Cap is Hydra. Make Thor a frog. Oh my God, what are y'all doing to my treasured comic book property? You're destroying it. You're destroying my childhood. You don't know the character.
I love that.
I should write it.
In episode 2,
Phantom Menace.
Throg has already come up. All hail Throg.
Right. No, like what is it? The Phantom fandom or whatever. The people that hate Star Wars now.
Oh yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Enjoy it or don't. But you know what? It's if you're that invested into it. I've said this on the Twitter. Everybody needs to calm down with it. When people go off on, hey, if Bruce Wayne really cared about Gotham, he would have invested in charity and infrastructure. And it's a comic book. He dresses up like a bat and fights crime.
Well, and the fun thing is, if you read a lot of Batman comic books, he also does that.
Right.
The Wayne Foundation
Absolutely.
is very involved in doing all of those things, trying to fight crime through helping people find work and bringing industry to Gotham. But he also really has a beating up bad guys fetish. Leave the man alone. No judgments.
He likes dressing up and going out at night. Okay?
Clearly.
Who doesn't? Hey, I'm going to try to bring back capes. Not like Batman and with a cowl. I'm just going to start wearing capes. Kind of like Victorian era gentlemen used to.
Only if you use a walking
Charles,
stick.
I hate to do this, but Charles, can we pause real fast?
Sure.
And I'm back.
All right, so where were we?
Okay, so we went down a rabbit trail there talking about stuff. But to bring it back home, Black Hammer died trying to leave this weird purgatory, mini-universe, weird town they're in. And then Lucy, his daughter, who was trying to find said superheroes, which are, you got Lucy, who is Golden Gale, correct?
Yeah, yes. You have Golden Gale, you have Slam, Abraham Slam, you have Talkie Walkie.
The android.
Yes. You have Barbalian, the Martian Manhunter. And you have Captain Weird. Was that his name, Captain Weird? Did not refer. Colonel. Oh, I see. I apologize, sir. And of course, Madam Butterfly. Dragonfly.
No, Dragonfly, but Madam Butterfly is apparently a great stage play that I have not seen.
I don't really need to write some of this stuff down.
So yeah, they're speaking of we were talking about this. This is, I think, again good because analogs in Squadron Supreme. Other analogs for Colonel Weird that I did not think about last time: Adam Strange, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. Before he gets all weird and Dead Man Spectre like.
Oh wow!
Before that, you see more of him being the crusading, space adventuring super astronaut.
Oh my! You're dead on. A matter of fact, this is the jump. He's the jump from how do you make the Golden Age Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon or whomever into the Silver Age.
And yeah.
And now he's Colonel Weird. That's brilliant. Well done, you. Well,
thanks. And then
well done, Mr. Lemire. We decided it's Lemire as the author.
I'm gonna go with Lemire. I like the way that sounds, but I could be butchering his name.
Well, I butcher names. I don't like to, but everybody needs a hobby.
Hey, and then other analogs while we're kind of just generally on the topic, Charles, before I forget, Madam Dragonfly. I know we talked about, the House of Mystery last time, but Zatanna, DC. Not that I know anything about Madame Xanadu, but I remember seeing something on the Twitter about her as apparently another magic-based DC property character. And then Scarlet Witch, maybe, throwing it out there. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's it for that.
Crazy woman that uses magic, Scarlet Witch kind of follows.
A little bit.
So I like how they finally get into kind of what went on from in the battle that Black Hammer had the choice to go off and fight Anti-God with the rest of the group that he was a part of out in the universe, and instead he chose to go to his daughter's birthday party.
Yeah, family over job.
Which, of course, caused
And
them to lose the battle.
Yeah, his I guess adoptive father, Starlock, says, "Hey, we need you.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff's getting real. Anti-God's attacking us." And then we find out later, Golden Gale had made a family. She had Captain Golden, Golden Gary. There was a duck, apparently, involved, and a female also. That was like a Mary Marvel, maybe. They get killed also, on top of the analogs for New Genesis or whatever. And so does Y-Force that we get introduced to, which I think is pretty easy to see as kind of an X-Force nod. And they get killed too.
Yeah. A lot of people die. And a lot of people are going to die at the end of the world.
Hey, Charles, little secret, everybody dies. Just so you know.
What?
Sorry. I know.
I'm
heavy.
gonna need a minute. So yeah, no, I've got it pulled up on my iPad, looking at the scene where Black Hammer's facing Anti-God, and I love that he ends it just by hitting him in the head with the hammer.
Yeah, he just slams a hammer down on him. It's over. Does that mean he could have done that and saved everybody had he just not gone to his little girl's birthday party?
Evidently. That's kind of why Starlock, his celestial father, was like, "No, dude, you need to come here.
No, really, this is going to take like 5 minutes. All you
Just-
have to do is come over here
come
and hit him
here,
in the head with a hammer.
Hit the dude with a hammer, and then go to the birthday party."
Hit him with your weird Green Lantern / Mjolnir. How do you say it? Hammer.
Mjolnir.
And let's get done with this. No, I'm gonna watch my little girl unwrap presents and blow out some candles. You guys can handle this. You're big gods, new gods. You got this. Hey, something I have written down before I forget, because I'm afraid I'm going to. Colonel Weird also makes explicit mention that he's going to have a Mystery in Space, which was a comic book series that DC had back in the day, and I thought that was a nice nod.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was the one that starred for a long time Adam Strange. So I thought that was nice too. Sorry for the weird tangent there.
No,
Not even
that's
tangent,
okay.
Just changing subjects.
No, that's great. So that kind of gets us through episode 7.
Sure, we've done some of these I don't remember apparently. You mean podcast 7 or
no? Issue. I mean issue 7
of Black Hammer.
Of Black Hammer. Yeah, they're trapped there, and then they did. That's when they kind of get into the whole opening of the next issue, which was Gale and the whole Marvel Captain Marvel family. I'm sorry,
Shazam, Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
which, by the way, she says Zufram to turn into Golden Gale.
Okay, I'm glad we got that worked
And then
out.
we see that. I am really fixated on the duck. I want a whole comic book just about the Golden Family duck in Solo Adventures, and I want it now.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. When you do this, wasn't there a? That's what I was trying to say. Didn't the
Please
Captain
leave that
Marvel
in the open.
family? Didn't they have a dog?
Oh yeah, there was Tawny the Tiger. I think I'm not a big
Okay.
Captain Marvel Shazam aficionado. There was Tawny the Tiger back in the Golden Age, and then I think when Jeff Johns did his thing, they had like a literal tiger at some point, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always been super pets, right?
Oh yeah, Crypto.
You had the Bat Dog. I forget his or her name. So yeah, no, I'm not knocking it.
I agree.
Really,
It was great. I do like how she's retiring. I mean, here's this middle-aged woman who's been converting back into a child to fight crime for so long and kind of wants out of it.
she says the magic word, and she's in her 50s, presumably. What do you think? Are you thinking 50s? That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, she's in her 50s. I would
She likes
guess.
to smoke, goes to a bar, and then goes to visit her arch nemesis, Sherlock Frankenstein, which, speaking of characters I want to see more about, that is high on the list. And they have a torrid, although I think kind of sweet love affair
Oh no, yeah, no.
from the little we get to see of it.
It really is sweet. And that's been a trope in some of these other comics. I can't remember some other comics that are not Marvel and DC will have a character and the hero and the villain get together.
Hey, Batman, Catwoman, man.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. I've never really thought of Catwoman in the comics as that big a villain. She's more of a circumstances kind of bad person.
Hey, the good bad guys never think they're a bad guy, right?
That's true. That's true. But really, if you're stealing jewelry from uber rich people, are you really doing crime?
No, you're not. Actually, I think that's on the books. I think that's a law. You don't get prosecuted. They're like, wait, how rich were they? Oh, no, here.
It's
I'm sorry.
fine.
Let's see. What else we... Oh, so going back to Lucy, which is the dog, name of the character that is... She's old. He thinks all of them are kind of resigned to their fates, and she's like, no, let me dig into this. And she goes to the library, and I think it was fascinating. All the books are blank. I think that is such a great horror movie kind of thing. And the librarian just kind of like, I don't know what happened. Must be a misprint.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. They're like, okay, now things are getting spooky and cool.
No, it's good. I do like how she refuses to accept nope, we're just here. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, whatevs. Cause
Well, and then Abraham Slam, right?
yeah.
His little utopia. Ha! You like that callback to Squadron Supreme?
Yeah, I do.
His utopia of the Black Hammer farm is kind of falling away because he gets accused of murdering Sheriff Trueheart.
That's
and then
true.
his girlfriend, his Sheriff Trueheart's ex, she's like, "Oh, we need a break. I think you might have killed him."
Well, it's understandable.
Just saying that Abraham Slam accused of murder. Then Madame Dragonfly, of course, comes in and mind wipes everybody.
Oh yeah, well that's what she do.
Another callback to Squad. Just mind wiping people,
Yeah.
like you do.
I'm really loving in this whole arc that these issues, the fleshing out the background of these characters. When you look at, we find out where Talkie Walkie comes in because not meaning to misgender the robot. She is insisting on discovering what's going on and continue to do what she's doing. And then Colonel Weird ends up killing her. And then we get the whole background of her and where they met and how she saved his life on the planet of technology, all these robots. I've never felt sadder for a robot, but then she wakes up on a spaceship.
Right. Well, that killed me when he killed her. When Colonel Weird in the barn killed her, Talkie Walkie. That came out of nowhere.
I absolutely love the heart of this comic. The depth that they go into the characters. We were talking about how each issue seems to kind of go into other issues, other backgrounds of the character, fleshing out everything because we got so bare bones as it started out, and he's just so built this world in a beautiful way. And not just the small town that Lucy coming in is proving is even emptier than it seems, but the deep background that they all have. So we learn where Talkie Walkie comes from. We learned that not only did Abraham Slam have trouble jumping from Golden Age to Silver Age, he had a whole lot of trouble jumping into the extreme 90s.
The jacket with the leather jacket and a lot of pockets.
It was so awesome that you talked about that in our first episode.
I did.
That's
right.
Because we were talking about neither one of us really read that much during the extreme 90s, and you mentioned the jacket with all the pockets and the.
And by the way, again, for the three people listening, I swear on anything that matters, I hadn't read this volume. I didn't know this was coming.
I know you hadn't. That's why it cracked me up when I was just looking at it just now, because on that little break we took, I was thumbing through the pages of it, and I was looking at it again, and I was like, oh man, that's right. He brought up jackets and pockets.
Yeah, the only thing that would have been better is if they would have done it. The art would have been changed in style for that era, the art is awesome.
Yeah,
but if they would have done don't show feet because we don't like drawing feet, or just everybody's proportions are way out of whack kind of thing. That could have been fun.
That
But
that could have
if
been.
I can, you spoke about the heart.
Uh-huh.
Sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
sure that that got picked up.
Uh-huh.
You talked about the heart. Yes, it is. You are in. I am invested. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but you are invested in these characters. It is a great, whether it's Barb Alien and him being rejected by the priest,
Oh, man.
or Gale
Uh-huh.
being stuck in the body of a 10-year-old,
Uh-huh.
9-year-old,
Uh-huh.
when she's in her mid to the late now 60s presumably,
Uh-huh.
and having missed her love affair with Sherlock Frankenstein, Talkie Walkie getting betrayed by Colonel Weird. No, there's a lot on top. So there's that, and then just you obviously know Jeff Lemire knows a little bit about comic books because he is jam packing this stuff with, I don't know if they're Easter eggs or homages or analogs or just everything smashed up together, because it is a love story, love song, comic book to anybody that really loves comic books.
Amen. It really is. I told you going into this, it's one of my favorite comic books I've read in the last however many years, and this is why. It does everything a comic book can do as an art form.
It really and speaking of, it makes me want to learn more about these ancillary characters.
Uh-huh.
I'm not joking. I want to know more about what the heck is the origin story of Sherlock Frankenstein.
Good news,
Why
Hav.
is there a duck in the Golden family?
Good news, Hav.
I want to. What?
Good news. That's being fleshed out, I believe.
What is?
All these questions you're asking.
Oh, thank God. Good.
Yeah,
No, but well, and hey, to bring it back home, hey, guess why there was a Squadron Supreme 12-issue series in the 80s? Because the Squadron Supreme had made appearances in the 70s, and they were cool and different, and rightfully so. Marvel thought, hey, I think people want to see more of this, and thankfully DC didn't sue them into the ground for stealing their intellectual property, and were cool about it, as opposed to when they sued, Fawcett Comics into the ground over Captain Marvel. That's a whole different story. But no, that's how good this is. I want to see more about just Black Hammer. I want to see more about the Madame Dragonfly. Abraham Slam interacting with Y-Force would be great. Anyways, okay, I'm done. Sorry.
No, don't be done. I completely agree with you. It is wonderful.
Oh, there's also the part where Lucy is investigating the town and the couple passes her twice. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
The old couple?
Uh-huh.
So you get the deja vu, kind of like, more mystery, what is really going on here? Is this some kind of Matrix-y, made-up construct? Obviously, this is made after the Matrix, so you get the repeater, black cat, but now it's an old couple, like, with the wife or the female of the couple licking the ice cream, and just drawing you in.
Well,
so good.
You also go around with Madame Butterfly popping in and out in areas and correcting problems. So you're starting to get an idea of who might be behind what's going on, right?
Holy crap, I did not think of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not that smart. You know that.
Well, no, it was when I read it the first time, I was like, oh, wait a minute. She's doing these things. She's coming into this thing and she's kind of controlling this. So you have no way of knowing whether I'm lying or not. I don't think I'm lying.
Well, you've read more. Have you read everything Black Hammer that's out there?
I had read this before, and I had read the next one before.
Okay, and of course, don't spoil it for me.
No, I'm doing my darndest.
The fact that I last compendium, our last discussion, she had left her Man-Thing / a Swamp Thing, lover. So I didn't. That's why I don't think I went there. I feel like she's been transported here against her will, and that's why I don't. And that's why I'm going to make the excuse that I didn't think that she's behind this. But maybe I missed some. Maybe I missed.
Well, she's clearly involved in this. I'm not necessarily saying she's behind this. There's more going on than what you're taking away from what I said. Because also Colonel Weird clearly knows things that are going on. So the two of them have more
Colonel
knowledge about what is going on and why they're there.
Okay, I can appreciate that, and Colonel Weird, like we talked about, I think last time, he is a man out of time. He is very Dr. Manhattan-y in that regard.
Yeah,
he's
except
talking about
he's still holding on to his humanity. That's why he can't live in the loop world the way Manhattan have, where all time is a flat circle, and he's hearing everything all at once, all the time about everything. Colonel Weird's also doing that, only his mind did not warp. It's still human, and let's be honest, none of us can handle that.
Yeah, you might go insane.
Yeah, to put it mildly.
And especially when you're a ghostly apparition floating around, bouncing from place to place and apparently time to time, which sounds horrific.
It does not sound fun at all.
No, but okay, hold on. Talk to me more about Madame Dragonfly, because I didn't pick up at all. And again, not that I'm the greatest detective in the world, because even though I'm a big Batman fan and underrated superhero that needs more in the comic book pages, Detective Chimp needs more from DC.
They should reboot their entire DC movieverse with Detective Chimp.
Just as their lead.
Mm-hmm.
I would camp out for the movie.
So Madame Butterfly kills the sheriff
Because he's a well, okay, good point. Because why can't she just mind wipe him? I didn't think of that. She
that's a
kills
very
him.
good
Why-
question.
Why not just mind wipe him?
But why? Yeah.
Arlo, does he come into her house?
Let me read you what she says to him, because she comes to his house. He says, you're under arrest for trespassing. She says, no, I'm not. You see, it's you who are in trouble, Sheriff. You've developed too much free will. You've become the one thing I cannot allow here, a supervillain. And then she turns. See?
I completely glossed over, read that too quickly.
Yeah, she can't allow it. Then we get to see her boobs, which I'm always for, although they're really not doing much for me.
You're just a boob hound. I gosh darn it, son of a gun.
And then she appears
I'm to it right now.
Then she appears and tells the cops that he's free to go. He's okay.
This is not the droids. These are not the droids you're looking for.
She totally Jedi mind tricks them.
So I just completely missed that. That's again. I'm glad I get to talk to you about these things. Well, okay, so then I guess again you know more about this, but she's not there because she wants to be.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, based on what I've read so far.
No, she's not there.
So
because
now I'm wondering why she kills, murders Sheriff Trueheart. Again, great name for a bad person, but maybe he's not even a real person. See, now you got me going all over the place.
So as they leave the police station, and Slam asks her, "What are you doing, Dragonfly?" And she said, "I'm setting you free." He says that she can't do that. And she says, "Actually, I can do whatever I want, Abraham."
How powerful is she? Okay. All right. Hey, you got me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's a contest. I'm just saying you got... I glossed over that whole part. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to definitely read Volume 3 this weekend. Or whatever the next one is. Just so you know.
Okay. And we can touch on it in our next episode.
Sure. No, and again, our next episode, I have asked you to read the Justice League reboot after Infinite Crisis,
which I told you off the podcast that I feel personally attacked by this, right? You remember that. And I'm going to drop this here because by the time we do that, and it's released, I'll have had 2 vaccinations and I'll have had a haircut. But Guy Gardner's haircut is very similar to what I have been forced to with COVID haircuts when my ex-girlfriend and my sister have cut my hair.
You're just bragging about having ex-girlfriends, I think.
Well, you brag about having a wife.
Well, you know, you got to brag about what you can. That's about all I got going for me. She's obviously the best thing that's ever happened to me. I think everybody would agree that knows me.
You are married to a wonderful lady, so I would agree with that. I don't know if it's the best thing that's ever happened to you, but as far as I know, it is.
Yeah, trust me. No, really, but like a country mile. Hey, how? So your haircut's that bad, huh?
No, it's. I told you. I can fix it with product, but the basic haircut is similar to that.
You also identify as a redhead.
Well, I don't identify as a redhead. I just point out that your comments about redhead is racist.
I have made ill-advised comments about redheads, and I've used the word ginger, and that they lack souls.
Yes.
In the past, and I
Yes.
regret those. And I'm going to say that now on this podcast.
As well you should. So no, I don't really have red hair. I do have, I guess I started out with strawberry blonde hair as a kid. It's gotten darker over the years as many blondes do, and blue eyes and freckles. So I feel their pain.
As opposed to me that has black, brown hair and just graying all the time. My beard now, just so you know, I know it's been a bit since we've hung out.
Oh yeah.
The whole, pandemic. The beard is on the sides, gray, just straight gray. Yeah, I'm not gonna lose the beard over it because I'm lazy and don't like shaving.
You know one of the reasons why I'm shaving more often now?
Why?
The gray hair in my beard.
Vanity. Oh no,
dude! I'm so vain.
You're not gonna pull.
I do.
You're not gonna pull Ronald Reagan, are you?
No. I do think the song was about me though.
That is a great song, by the way.
Yeah, #1 song in America the week I was born.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good happenstance coincidence.
Yes.
Quinky dinky.
Yes.
I don't think they say.
Yeah, it was. I find it amusing. So because I am vain, I do kind of care about the way I look. I'm weird that way.
I do care about the way I look. Julie, my wife is Julie. I think I've mentioned her name. Mm-hmm. She may sometimes be surprised, but because I can go from, I feel like I can go from dressing to the nines. I don't know where that phrase comes from. I'm going to Google that after this. I can go from looking pretty sharp to dressing in my comic book t-shirts and blue jeans and hoodie and looking pretty derelict, I think. And I think that's what's shocking because there's not a lot of in between.
I try to look good when I'm wearing my comic book t-shirt and blue jeans.
Okay, well that was a shot at me.
No, it wasn't. I was just saying that I try to look. I try to look nice whenever I'm wearing.
You're saying I look bad when I wear comic books. Comic book t-shirts. Okay. That hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think I have any comic book t-shirts. I've got a bunch of Star Wars t-shirts. I'm actually wearing a Star Wars t-shirt right now.
I'm rocking a Batman.
Are you? Okay. I gotta be honest. I don't like a lot of the Star Wars t-shirt. Not the Star Wars. Obviously, I like the Star Wars. I'm wearing one. I don't like a lot of the comic book t-shirts for my personal style of t-shirts that I like.
You know what? You have a similar. They're not the same. It's not like we went shopping together. Wow, we are down a weird. This is great. Bunny trail here. You have a faded Superman t-shirt too. I know you do.
I don't.
Superman emblem.
No.
I swear to God, I saw you wear that like 5-10 years ago.
Don't believe I have a Superman t-shirt. No.
Oh, I swear. Okay, maybe not. Don't listen to me.
I'll dig through my t-shirts, but that is not striking.
I don't want to buy. Sorry.
I'll dig through my t-shirts, but I don't think that's one I own.
So this was a nice little tangent.
Yes, it was. I don't know. Do we need to say anything more? I guess we should point out that the volume that we just read of Black Hammer. Boy, how do you, I got to pause every time. Ended.
Not Black Panther, not Black Lightning.
Black Hawk. Oh wait, no. Falcon. Sorry.
Whatever. It's Black Hammer.
Yes, it's Black Hammer. You want to tell how it ends?
So Lucy's frustrated. I get the sense from what I remember reading it one time. Lucy's frustrated and she's missing her dad. And then she's kind of thinking about him and then realizes maybe he or something's calling to her, goes to the edge of the farm where the hammer is just laying there. And I realizes, no, it may be her dad calling to her and the hammer and picks it up. And guess what? She's a new Black Hammer. And
you remember that in his origin, Black Hammer's origin, he says the hammer is calling to him.
Absolutely.
And it just ends with her saying, "No, Abraham." Well, he goes, "Lucy?" And she says, "No, Abraham. I'm the Black Hammer, and I remember everything."
Yes, that was. And
that's why you're going to read the next volume.
I literally just got chills when you said that because that's how great of an ending it was. I'm not joking. I got chills like I get chills when I see certain movies or certain things on the TV or read certain things again. You know, it was a great ending that just makes you want to read more, which is what good comic books do.
Yes. Yeah. But you've got to give everyone a reason to pick up the next episode, and ending it on that kind of, oh, wait, we're going to finally find out what the F is going on is a pretty good way to end the issue.
It really was. And hey, just real fast, just not that we paired these two together because we didn't at all.
No.
But real consequences in these comic books.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Characters die.
Mm-hmm.
There are real things that happen, which is happenstance that we talked about these two together. But yeah, I just think that was interesting and a good coincidence that we're talking about Squadron Supreme and Black Hammer, where Black Hammer died, the name of the comic book, and then in Squadron Supreme, of course, a lot of people died. And both, homages to other properties.
Yeah.
Or mashups of.
That's the one thing that's great about comic books is they ruthlessly steal from other people. And I truly mean that. It's made it wonderful because throughout comic book history, they take the good from other comic books and put it in their own. And it makes it wonderful.
I was going to say it in a good way.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I was being kind of me with the way I said it, but I truly love it. It makes it fun. It's
like I said before. Oh, good.
Oh, I was just going to say it's an homage more than anything when they do it.
It is an homage, but you know what? If you haven't read a comic book before you read this, I don't think it matters.
Oh no, you could absolutely read this and just be like, "Wow, this is awesome."
And if you're like me and you're in your mid-40s and have read a fair amount and know a little bit more about stuff that came before you started reading comic books, it's even better. And I would hope and wonder if you read about it and then read more about it, because not to belabor a point, but the internet is awesome. And the fact that in 1985 when I read Squadron Supreme, I couldn't Google Hyperion and figure out, it wasn't very hard to figure out he was a Superman analog, but you knew that. But hey, he had appeared in the 70s in Avengers and blah blah blah. If that happens to anybody that reads it now, great. If you read Black Hammer, you should read. Everybody should read Black Hammer, as far as I'm concerned. But that's how good it is. But if it gets people to read other stuff, great.
I agree. So you want to talk about what I'm going to make you read after Stumptown?
Sure.
Okay.
What am I gonna, have I said anything about?
No,
what
you haven't, and it doesn't matter. You can tell me later. But I came up with what I think I'm going to read. I'm going to go off of kind of away from what I've been doing, which was obviously starting with Black Hammer, completely off the beaten path, but still superhero. And then I went Stumptown, not even superhero comics, detective comic. And I'm going back to pure superhero, but we're going to do it on a little different, and it's going to be fairly new. It's a Hawkeye from 2012.
Huh. I remember the comic book covers. I don't think I picked it up. I think I was still picking up monthlies back then.
It is. The covers are interesting. It is a down-to-earth, let's look at the life of Hawkeye, the Avenger with literally no superpowers. At least I think that's what I'm going to have you read. And because I started reading that yesterday, I think, the first episode, and I was like, oh yeah, I loved this. And this was another one I picked up at the library, just a graphic novel of. And
ooh, speaking of,
did you get a library card?
The library.
Did you get a library card?
Guess who has a Dallas Public Library card?
Oh, thank goodness.
Yours
about
truly.
Thank goodness. It's going to make this a lot easier for you. Because you know what I just got? I have to go pick up at the library at their curbside pickup. The next 3 volumes of Stumptown.
Nice.
Well, I read the first one on Hoopla. They don't have the next one. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if the library's got it in hardcover or actual comic book. And they did. So they're waiting for me.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to read Hawkeye from the early 2010s then? Is that what you're saying?
It's 2012.
What year?
2012. Yeah, I'll get offline. I'll get it to you more, but it's really They're really good.
No, I was gonna say I think I'm gonna stay on the same kind of track we're on, mostly because I kind of want to reread it anyway.
Okay.
It's selfish because I haven't read it in a long time. I'm gonna go Mutant Massacre.
Okay. All right. Mutant Massacre.
Did you read any of it when it came out back in
Nope.
the day?
I don't know anything about Mutant Massacre. So I take it that's Marvel.
It is. It is Uncanny X-Men, New Mutants. I think there's a Thor and some Power Pack in there.
Sorry.
Hey, which has gotten a reboot, I think, here recently.
That's awesome. No, I was laughing because that's awesome if it has a Power Pack issue in there.
I think it may. I think it does. It's been
awesome.
a while, and it's one of the. It's early in the Marvel. We're gonna do a big summer crossover, when it was just a summer and not a year-long event. Which, in hindsight, I think is genius. Because guess who wasn't in school during the summer?
There.
Me. And I was just buying everything I could find that said Mutant Massacre, which probably should have alarmed my parents a little more than it did. Why is he buying all these comic books that say Mutant Massacre?
Awesome. I will put that on the list to read after I read Justice League.
Justice League.
Or finish reading Justice League.
It's called Justice League.
This Justice League thing, is that like a popular comic? I'm not really familiar with it.
It's not Suicide Squad. Okay.
Okay. I may not have problems saying the name Justice League when we're talking about this next episode, the way I did with
I would love
Squadron Supreme.
I will pay you I will buy the first beer we have together in person if you purposely conflate Justice League with Suicide Squad next podcast. Just as a gag. If you have the wherewithal to do that, my friend, you deserve a pint.
Okay, I'll try to remember.
Okay. Hey, everybody that's been listening. This has been, are we calling it episode 2 or podcast 2?
It's episode 2. I've been calling it episode 2. Yeah.
Hey, this has been episode 2 of Hav and Charles Talk Comics. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for listening.